Difference of staying back.
Boss Michael,
Yeah, I'm with you, loud and clear.
they said we need permission to share a screen from you.
Oh, sorry. You have the ground.
All right, thank you. I'm sharing my screen again. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
I can see your screen, Adrian.
All right, thank you so much. All right, going by what's from where we stopped, they said we should look at the CSV file of the auditor's results. You should get it loaded on SQL. You will have to think back to the start of our journey on how to do that. Well, to make sure we have the same names, you should use this query to create the table first, then import the CSV file. So this is what they want us to do first, that we should create a table with this query before we now import the USB file. So for some of us, that's also inclusive, I think. So got it good. Looking at the table and the data dictionary I sent you, you can see the type of info that we have. Well, I don't know if I've gotten it. Michael, is it not possible that you illustrate to us on how to do this?
You said?
I say, is it not possible that you illustrate how to do this to us?
Okay, so this is the idea. I love how you've been doing so far. That's lovely. I mean, great job there. The idea is, as we are running through right now, we look at the questions. You can ask the house if anybody has what's it called, solution to the problem or a solution. So we are supposed to just discuss the way forward of the solution. We are not technically solving the problem today. From tomorrow's class, we will now get hands-on on the project and begin to solve it technically. But today, we just want to look into what we have here. Then we'll go to the next, if possible, if time permits us, we'll go to the next one because I think they are now choked together. This one seems very short. So we'll go to the next project also. We'll look at it. We'll look at both MCQs that follows and see what we are supposed to prepare for. Then everyone go back, we'll learn, then come back from tomorrow, we'll begin to solve the integrated project.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So is there anyone in the house that wants to help with this? Well, I think I can explain this to some extent. So I believe that the first query there is to delete. They said drop table. I think drop works for delete to delete the existing table in the report, right? Please, if I'm erring, just catch me. Uh-huh. So the other one, this is the one that they said we should use to create the table. If you look at the instruction, they said make sure we have the same names. Use this query to create the table first, then import the CSV file. So we use all this query first and import the USB file. If you have any other idea, you can just unmute and speak, please. Pauline, you are here. Don't leave me to this thing. I'm counting on you. Hello, Pauline.
Yes, sorry, I didn't hear what you said. What did you say?
Oh, sorry, what's wrong with your voice? That's unusual.
Not the weather. I'm still recovering.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, don't let me trouble you with my own thing. I was saying that you can also contribute to this. And if you notice that I made a mistake.
To explain what this is.
Yes.
Okay, it's basically telling us the first line, the drop table if exists, is telling us to delete that table if it already exists. So we are supposed to create a table called auditor reports. Auditor underscore reports. So the first thing we're checking is if any such table is there. If it's there, we should delete it.
Okay. 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 So if we have any of such table before, we should delete before we create another one.
Because we are not sure, it might be of a different structure. You don't really know. Okay, so they are telling us to
Okay.
delete. If there's any such table, delete it first. Then create table auditor report. Then underneath you can see location ID.
Those are the
That's
table headers, right?
yes, it's outlining the different columns and the type of data that's supposed to be in each column. So the location ID is a VACA
Those are the
column.
data types.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So the type of water source is VACA as well. And then true water source score, that's another column, but this is an integer. By default, it is null. So basically saying is it empty?
It's an empty column.
Then the last one is statements, which is a varchar as well. So we are creating a table that is made up of 4 columns, and these are the different columns and the data type that each column is expected to be populated with. So that's
All right.
what this is saying.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Okay, moving on. Wow. First off, it looks like we have 1,620 records. That's after we have uploaded or sites that they will visited. I see a location ID, type of water source at that location, and the quality of water source that is now independently measured. Our auditor also investigated each site a bit by speaking to a few locals. Their statements are also captured in this results. We need to tackle a couple of questions here. One, is there a difference in the table and see this? For the first question, according to Chidi, he said we'll have to compare score. The auditor reports table that we are going to ID, but the quality score table, the visit table link, it links that, so we can link the auditor's report table and water quality using the visit table. So first, the instruction we have from there is that we should grab the location ID source score columns from the auditor's report. So the first instruction is to get the location ID and get the true water source score. Moving on, what they expect us to get, where you have the location ID and on it. Now, we join the visit table to the auditor's report, record ID, and location ID. How do we do this one? And this is the kind of table they expect us to see. Please, can someone just stop tables or how we can derive this table? They said we should join the visit table to the auditors. How do we join, please? I also want to learn. Michael, please help me out here. How do we join? Hello, I believe that there should be a link between the two tables before you can join. But how do you think you can join, Michael?
Okay, so there's basically a command for joining tables, multiple tables together. But I believe that from my research, I believe part of the content that we are supposed to engage this week. So
Okay.
yeah, but I think it's a solution that we can easily get our hands on.
Okay.
There's a query
That's
pattern
after we
that
go
can
through
help
the
us.
module, sure. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on again. Note that I specified from which table each selected column is from in this query. Select the auditor report dot location ID, that is from the auditor reports table that we have created by ourselves. And in the table, don't forget that in the table we have created a column, a header that is location ID. So we use an alias for that as audit location. Still in the auditors table that we have created, there is a column that we have that we call true water source score. From the visit table, there is a location column there, location ID column on the visit table. So we do that as an alias, as call it visit location. And still on the visit table, there is a record ID. So all these are queries that we know already. So I believe this is the join, like Michael mentioned, this is the join command. Because this is the first time I'm seeing this join there. After from, I know that I'll go to where or goodbye. That one is in my head already. But now I'm seeing join. So I believe this is the command that we use to join the auditor's reports and the visits. Okay, look at it. You are joining the auditor's reports and the visits. And the unique identifier, which is the primary key in both of them, is the location ID. So it's they have a unique key that brings them together. That's what makes up join the table together. If you are familiar with Excel, you would have seen something like VLOOKUP. When there is a unique identifier, you can bring things together. Now that we have the record ID for each location, our next step is to retrieve the corresponding score from the water quality table. We are particularly interested in the subjective quality score, which is this on this. To do this, we will join the visit table and the water quality table using the record ID as the connecting key. So, like I mentioned, we have a record ID. This is the record ID here. We expect that that's what we use as a connector. When we go through the module, I believe that would have further understanding on that. It doesn't matter if your columns are in a different format because we are about to clean this up a bit. Since it's a duplicate, we can drop one of the location ID column. Let's leave record ID and we name the score to surveyor underscore score and auditor underscore score. So to make it clear which score we are looking at in the result set. So once you do all this instruction, according to him, we get this, but not necessarily in this format. In this format, your own may be in ascending order, another person may be in descending order. So that's what I believe they meant by that. Since we are joining 1,620 rows of data, we want to keep track of the number of rows we get each time we run a query. We can either set the maximum number of rows we want from limits to 1,000 rows to a larger number like 10,000. If you go to the very edge of SQL, you see the option there where you can do limitless, where you don't even need to limit the rows. That's what I mean. Or we can force SQL to give us all the results using limits 10,000. Okay, let's analyze. A good starting point is to check the auditor's reports and employee score. You want to check if the auditor's report and employee score agrees. There are many ways to do it. We can have a where clause and check if surveyor score equals auditor score. Or we can subtract the two score and check if the result is 0. I believe we know how to do that by using all these aggregators. To just make this minus that, one column minus the other column. If it is not 0, it means they are not the same thing. So moving on again. You try and figure this one out. Okay, this is what they want us to do by ourselves. This man is always giving us a test. If you run into an error, remember that you can't use aliases in where. So you have to use the same name as in the select part, like this, auditors. So what they are saying is that, yes, I've also noticed this, that if I'm using where, I can't use any other thing except from the column I have selected at the earlier part of the code. That's what this man is saying here. You got 2,505 rows, right? I don't know if that's what we'll get until we start working on it. Some of the locations were visited multiple times. So these records are duplicated here. To fix it, we set visit underscore count equals to 1. And in the where clause, make sure you reference the alias you use for visits in the join. So what they want to do is that they want to see if they are duplicates. If they are duplicates, they want to ignore the duplicates. That's what I can understand this instruction here to me. With the duplicates removed, with the duplicates removed, I now get 1518. So in this 2505, there's duplicates. When he removed it, when we do it together after reading our module, you should be getting 1518. What does this mean considering the auditor visited 1,620 sites? I think that is an excellent result. 1518 to 1620 is 94% of the record of that the auditor checked. That is 94% of the record the auditor checked were correct. But that means that 102 records are incorrect. So let's look at those. You can do it by adding one character in the last query. Moving on, I don't see anything we need to discuss here. So I get this. That's what he got in his own. Hopefully we'll get it when we start solving that. Since we use some of these data in our previous analysis, we need to make sure those results are still valid. Now we know some of them are incorrect. We didn't use the score that much, but we didn't use the scores that much, but we relied a lot on the type of water sources. So let's check if there are any errors there. So to do this, you and I, we need to grab the type of water sources column from the water sources table and call it survey underscore source, meaning that we have to make it an alias. When we get that thing out, we have to make it an alias and call it survey underscore source using source underscore ID column to join. And select the type of water source, that's type underscore of water source, that column from the auditor's report table and call it auditor underscore source, meaning that we should change the name from the type of water source. And like I note, these aliases are only temporary. They are not permanent. One of the things I noticed that until you update the table before it becomes permanent. I don't know if that's my understanding is right. Please correct me. So we got this. This is the table that the man got. I hope we'll also be able to get it with ease now that he's getting everything. So he got this. So I hope you can see what the result he got. Okay, moving on. So what I can see is that the type of sources look the same. So even though the scores are wrong, the integrity of that column in the auditor report table, that type of water source in the auditor report table data we analyzed last time is not affected. That is the one we would analyze. He has analyzed it. That's why he's calling it last time. But we will analyze it and see if it's affected or not. Once you are done with that, remove the columns and join statements for water sources again. Moving on, there's really nothing to do in all this things. Linking records to employees. Now we are in the second, we are still in the, okay, now we are in the third phase now. This thing is almost done, so. Okay, next up, let's look at where these errors may have come from. At some of the location, employee assigned scores incorrectly and these records ended up in this result set. I think there are two reasons. So that's his own thoughts of the reasons of the things he has found out when he was linking the tables together. Now, number one, these workers are all humans and make mistakes, so this is expected. Unfortunately, that's number two part. The alternative is that someone assigns scores incorrectly on purpose. That is a problem. In either case, the employee are the source of the errors. So let's join the assigned employee ID for all the people on our list from the visit table to our query. Remember, our query shows well, I don't know, I don't understand that. Our query shows the 102 incorrect records. So when we join the employee data, we can see which employees made these incorrect records. Moving forward, he got this again. So now we can link the incorrect records to the employees who recorded them. The IDs don't help us to identify them. We have employees' names stored along with their IDs. So let's fetch their names from the employee table instead of the IDs. So what is trying to do now is now to look for their names instead of using the IDs. I don't know how that will work, but if that is what they want us to do, we have to do it. I get this table. Well, this query is massive and complex, so maybe it's a good idea to save this as a CTE. Please, what is CTE? Who have an idea about that? What is CTE? So when we do more analysis, we can just call that CTE like it was a table. Please, what's a CTE?
Can Google it now.
Okay,
Let's Google
let's
it.
let's see
Common
what
table
CTE.
expression.
Eh?
Common table expression.
Common table expression.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for those that know it, I just know the name. I don't know what it is. Common table expression. Okay. So when we do more analysis, we can just call the CTE like it was a table. Okay, call it something like incorrect records. Once you are done, check if this query selects asterisks from incorrect records. So we are going to name that table incorrect records such that once we write this query, selects asterisks from incorrect records, get if that query brings back the table to life. Now that we define incorrect records, we can let's first get a unique list of employees from this table. From that incorrect record, we need to get the list of employees. So what's wrong with my network? Think back to the start of your SQL journey to answer this one. I got 17 employees. So what he's saying is that once we create records table, we should be able to get 17 employees, which I believe we can do. Next, let's try to calculate how many mistakes each employee. I want to count how many times their name is in incorrect record list and then group them by name, right? So once we do the group by, once we write the query and you do group by, I believe we should be able to result to this. Okay, moving on. Do you see the pattern there? Order the list if you can't see it yet. So after you do the group by, he wants us to order it again so that we can see it if we can't see it clearly. It looks like some of our surveyors are making a lot of mistakes, while many of other surveyors are only making a few. I don't like where this is going. If he doesn't like where this is going, it means we have more data cleaning to do.
That's the meeting.
Hello? Someone is speaking.
People are doing it. Let me.
Someone is speaking, please. Okay,
Proceed.
I'm moving on. Okay, I'm moving on. Gathering some evidence. Okay, so thinking about this a bit, how do we go about finding out if any of our employees are corrupt? Let's say all the employees make mistakes. If someone is corrupt, they will be making a lot of mistakes, more than average, for example. But someone could just become clumsy. So we should try to get more evidence. Our auditor did say some of these things he heard on the streets were quite shady, and he recorded this in the statements column. Considering both of these sources should give us a pretty reliable answer. Okay. So let's try to find all of the employees who have an above average number of mistakes. Let's break it down into steps first. First thing we need to do is that we have to first calculate the number of times someone name comes up. I believe we just did that in the previous query. So let's call it error count. So for this, I believe we can use the count function to get sorted out. The second is that we need to calculate the average of the mistakes employee made. We can do this by taking the average of the previous query results, something like this. Select average and the number of mistakes from error count. So what he's saying is that once we bring out the query, once we query this table, only this column will come out, the average of the number of mistakes that employee made. He said we should call that result average error count per employee. That is, which would be a scalar value. Forgetting this one, scalar value. Okay. So what he's trying to say is anything we get from this number 2, we should use an alias and call it average error count per employee with a scalar value. That's an assignment for us to do. I've forgotten what scalar value. Okay, finally, we have to compare each employee's error count with average error. We have to compare the error count with the average error count per employee. We will call this result our suspect list. So the difference between the employee error count and the average error count per employee, once we do the arithmetic, we call that column the suspect list. So this is the query they want us to run. You do a select, what's the employee name, number of mistakes they made, such that once you query this result, the 2 columns that will come out would be employee name and the number of mistakes they made. And a condition is there where the number of employees is greater than the average. So this is the condition that we have, that this query will only run where the number of mistakes is greater than the average. And this is the table. You know, we have named the table error count before. So we are querying the table that we named error count. And so the first thing, he said, let's start by cleaning up our code a bit. First, the incorrect record is a result we'll be using for the rest of the analysis, but it makes the query a bit less readable. So let's convert it to a view. So who can explain that to a view? What does it mean? Hello. Okay. I guess I should continue. Since not some of us, not all of us know what a view is. Hopefully we'll get to know it in the module. We can then use it as if it was a table. It will make our code much simpler to read, but it comes at a cost. We can add comments to CTEs in our code. So if we return to the query a year later, we can read those comments and quickly understand what incorrect records represent. If we save it as a view, it's not as obvious. So we should add comments in places where we use incorrect records. Moving on, that's an instruction. All right, we should create a view as incorrect records, a view of incorrect records as. So these are the result of this query from select. I believe we stand as alias for these incorrect records here. So we are querying the auditor's reports and the location ID. You are looking at the visit count, the record ID on the visit count, on the visit. You are looking at employee name on the employee table. You are looking at the true water source score on the auditor's report table, which will now be aliased as auditor score. We are looking at the subjective quality score on the WQ table, which will now alias as employee score. We are looking at statements in auditor report table, the statements column in the auditor's report table, which will now alias as statements from all of these we are querying from the auditor's reports table. Then we have to join it with visits on. That is fun. Okay, visits on auditor report table where the location ID and the on the auditor reports and the visits table are equal. So we join water quality source again as WQ on. Okay, Pauline, please, is it possible to explain this to us? Or is there any other person that can explain this code?
Okay, that's this particular table, right?
Say that again.
I said this particular table.
Yes.
Okay. Let me go by it briefly. Auditor reports. Okay, we're joining from two different tables. Actually, three different tables. What is WQ? Okay,
I,
WQ is water quality. So that's like four different tables actually. They're joining from auditor reports. This is table.
water
employee
quality.
table.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're joining from auditor report, visits, employee table, water quality table. Okay, and
Okay.
we are picking specific columns. So from the auditor report, we are picking location ID. From visits, we are picking the record ID. From employee, we are picking employee name column. These are columns, by the way. From auditor reports, we are picking the true water source score alias auditor score. They renamed it, gave it a temporary name as auditor score. Or WQ as well has been given that's the water quality table, has been given a temporary name as WQ. And we're referencing it here as well. We're getting the employee score. We're getting the subjective quality score named temporarily as employee score. Then from the auditor reports, we're getting the statements column as well. Okay, so we're selecting all that from auditor reports. Then the first join we're doing, we're joining the visits. We're joining visits. That's where I always use, it's clear in my head as where. But basically what we want to join is we want to join where this location ID is the same as the visit location ID. So that's the first join. So wherever these two are the same, for the join visits on this, that's what we are checking for first. Then the second place we're also considering is for water quality, where the record ID for visits tallies with the record ID for the water quality as well. Okay, now this is a bit odd. We are joining for employee again, where the assigned employee ID is equals to the visit assigned employee ID. Do we have a screenshot or something of this particular table?
Yeah, there are some tables that we have up there, but I don't think it speaks to.
Okay.
It speaks to this. Yeah.
Can you go back up, please? Okay. The part that is confusing me a bit is all these different joins, because I'm seeing multiple IDs, right? So, well, from what I understand, we're basically first ID check we're doing is to confirm that the location ID on auditor reports is the same as the location ID on the visits table.
And the visits table, yeah.
Second one we are checking is to confirm that the record ID on the visits table is the same as the record ID on the water quality table. Maybe if we could see the tables, but let's just continue. table. So that's what I understand from it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pauline. You have really explained what it is. So I believe that everyone on the call also understands what you have just said. So I'll take it from there again.
Okay.
All right, now calling. They said after we have done this, we should now call select from, that we should query that incorrect records table to be able to see what this query comes about, what's in the table that we just. After we've called that incorrect, that error count, that incorrect table, because I mentioned that we are to alias this as the error count. So we have to make it into a CTE, test it to make sure it gives the same results using select from. So it's just like you are